Look at these nice shorts that I'm wearing. Yeah, they're nice cargo shorts. Hi there, YouTube fans. This is Matt of Post April 6th YouTube channel. Well, I got another great story idea. The story idea is about a man named Bradley Marshall Breadmen. Like, you know, the bread you eat. Or a guy who makes bread and is heavily relied on in an old school small town. His date of birth is June 23rd, 1997. Where he was born is Fishers, Indiana. That's near Indianapolis. That's in Indianapolis metro of the state of Indiana. And he's led quite a hell of a life. A couple of months after he turned 19 years old and he was living with his parents were nice, mother and father, but he'd had more than enough of Fishers, Indiana. And on August 28th, 2016, he moved to Indianapolis. He was only there for just 25 3/4 months, meaning from August 28th, 2016 until October 3rd, 2018. And one of the things that had happened, out of several things, in fact, why don't I just give a brief description of what ups and downs he went through when he lived in Indianapolis. He got a job as a laundry production associate or laundry production crew member at a company that did laundry for companies that had industrial uniforms, which would also include mechanical uniforms, and they also did the washing and the drying for hospitals. And he had to clean up some pretty nasty stains. You know, mostly the stuff that would come from the hospital, like several towels and several blankets and comforters and bed sheets that had a bunch of poop stains all over it because somebody really got sick and lost control of their gut, of their bowels, and they threw up several times. Yeah. Anyway, in about August 5th or 6th of 2018, while he was at work, he was in an area near the heart of downtown, and it was an old building that was built in the 1930s. And on the ground level, there were retail stores. There were neat retail stores, some small grocery stores, a comic book store, a cell phone service provider store for, I think it was Cricket, and another store that had used books. And in between the entrances to the retail stores, there was a narrow door where he would go up a steep flight of stairs, and he would rent one of 6 apartments. And these are small apartments. These are small 1-bedroom, 1-bathrooms that would be about 500 408 to 520 square feet. And they even had the old-fashioned toilet. That worked well, but it was old-fashioned. Well, one day when he comes home from work, the front door of the apartment is flat on the ground because two guys who were really strong stood next to each other, and they kicked the door. They didn't kick the door down as opening it. They kicked it flat off the hinges. And they tried to steal his TV, but the maintenance man tried to chase him down, but he couldn't do it. And the big high def television was laying on the ground in it, and one of the feet on the high def television was cracked. Not good. Well, with the insurance policy he had with an insurance company that would either be called casual renters insurance or apartment unit insurance, or whatever official name they'd have for it. This would be provided by the insurance company. They took care of the cost of him getting a nice $400 brand spanking new high def television. I mean, he had to wait a couple of weeks for all this to process, but when he got the money, he bought something right away and he put it into his car. So a couple of months later, he moved. And he didn't move somewhere else in the state of Indiana. It was a place that he visited before and he liked it. It was Colorado Springs, Colorado. And he found a nice house that was up in the mountainous area. And he worked as a he got a good job as an assistant manager for a chain of dry cleaning and laundry stores, and he was making pretty good money. One night, though, this was, I would say, a month before he moved. It was about September 27th, September 28th. Two gangbangers cornered him at gunpoint, and they just kept going on about how he was killing him. He's just standing there like this, scared. What the gangbangers did not know was 4 SWAT members surrounded the gangbangers like this and said, "Freeze! Freeze! Freeze!" like that. And dropped the gun. And he did. And they did. And they were arrested. A month later, he leaves Colorado Springs and he moves to Littleton. Because the other thing that was going on was between October 4th, 2018 when he moved and September 27, 2021, there was more gangbangers and more kooky people hanging around. I mean, they didn't really do anything to him, except a couple of them when he was driving down the road, they just turn over to him and say, "Hey, what the fuck you looking at?" And they say that to him. Yeah. And he made arrangements to leave, and he moved to Littleton. And for this move, which happened on October 30th, after he made 2 different trips with a U-Haul back and forth between Colorado Springs and Littleton to move in. he got a job. He got a job for a company that did background checks on employees, and it wasn't officially called that, but it was a licensed private investigation, private law enforcement corporation. And, you know, he did some interesting background checks. But even though it wouldn't be the same person that he'd do a background check, he just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it bored him. And 2 months prior to his move to the big city of Angels, or Tinseltown, he was on a 2-week vacation, paid vacation, and this was in late May. This is Memorial Day until about June 2nd. No, let me correct that. It started on after very carefully looking at a calendar, it was May 22nd, just before Memorial Day weekend. And he was there from May 22nd until June 6th, 2024. And what he was doing was he did a lot of sightseeing, but he also did a lot of spent a lot of his own time. You know, he didn't go with a buddy. He was going alone on this vacation to L.A., Los Angeles, and he was it was specifically for Hollywood area of Los Angeles. He got 2 different parts as extras in 3 different movies. And on the 3rd movie that he was in, because of how he acted and how he did what he was told verbatim, and he acted a lot like a pro, a talent agent persuaded him to get involved in acting. Yes. So what he does is like I've already said before, on June 6th, he goes back to DIA, and then he goes from DIA to Littleton. Because there's a few things he likes about Denver, but he mostly wants to be in Littleton. Because Denver is too much like, in his opinion, is too much like New York, LA, the South, cities in the Asian parts of the United States, Japan, China, Taiwan, Korea, you know what I mean. And that there's also a lot of parts where it's like Little Mexico instead of Little Italy or Little Japan. And he doesn't feel there's enough diversity. And that a lot of people, copycat each other. I mean, there's a lot of people who are individual and they are who they are, but a lot of people you know, dress a lot of the same way, have the type of beards that men have, and they have the same, you know, style of speaking and dialect. And he thinks, you know, just, you know, be your own person. Don't try to be like your friend because you like your friend so much. Have some individuality. Have some individualism. And what he did was he worked on getting an apartment on an area that would be fairly close to the Hollywood side. I'll correct that. He actually decided on an apartment in Los Angeles 90068, which is part of Hollywood, the Hollywood area of Los Angeles. It's on the 5900 block of Chula Vista Way. And I believe that area is near Del Hollywood, which is an area within Hollywood, or a neighborhood within a neighborhood, something like that. And it's also near Hollywood Hills. Hollywood Hills is a specific area within Hollywood, because Hollywood Hills is where a lot of the quite well-to-do people have a pretty expensive house that costs a minimum of $2.5 million that they live in. You know, if they live on Hollywood Hills, $2.5 million to over, gosh, probably over 20 million bucks. And he gave a, excuse me, he gave it 2 weeks' notice, and he sold a lot of his stuff, and I mean a lot. And he sold it quick too. You know, through eBay and through Craigslist and Facebook ads, stuff like that. And he kept a lot of his own clothes, and he kept some silverware and some plates and some things to cook with. And he did away with the TV. I think he sold it for like about 80 bucks to somebody who was, it was a guy who had like at least 3 or 4 kids, and the guy was, he wasn't outright destitute, but he was nearly broke. And he sold it to him for 80 bucks. The high def television, that is. There was probably at least a 50-inch television. And he drives I believe it would be May 30th or 31st of 2024. He takes two days to get to Hollywood, California, because he would drive about 14 hours, and then he would check into a hotel that he had already gotten prearranged to stay at. And when he, shortly after he got into the hotel room, about 2-3 hours later, he really crashed. He went into a deep sleep. And then the next day he gets up early. I would say about 5:30 in the morning. He has a fairly large cup of Starbucks coffee, and he ate something. And he made a couple of stops to go get something to eat and go to the bathroom about 3 times and fill up a tank of gas at least a couple of times. And at about 3:45 p.m., he arrives at the 5900 block of Chula Vista. And he goes over to the leasing office, and he pays them this much money. Because the rent's going to be $1,450 a month for 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. That is about 600 square feet. Let's see, for a security deposit and an administrative fee. Okay, I used a calculator, did some math. $1,450 a month rent in advance. $800 security deposit for the apartment. A $150 administrative fee. And a $50 key for 3 different types of keys they give him. You know, it's 2 keys for 1 key, 2 keys for another, 2 keys for another. It's 6 keys altogether. It's $2,450 and change. Yep. And then they take him over to his apartment. He goes in there, and in one of the kitchen drawers, there is a $20 thing for Jack in the Box and a $20 thing for Papa John's pizza. And in the bathroom there is, and they're gift wrapped, 2 rolls of fairly big Charmin toilet paper. You know, the ultra soft type. And there's also I believe they would have gotten this at Dollar Tree or a dollar store. It's a bottle about this big of laundry detergent called Gain. Because I believe you can get something about that size at Dollar Tree still, but they're hard to get. Because you see, every time I go in there to get one of those, or just see if they have them because I'm curious, can't get one. They may have stopped, Dollar Tree may have stopped selling them. So whether Dollar Tree sells those small size bottles that are, again, this big anymore, I don't know. I just don't know. And then what he does is he proceeds to bring in about 3 different boxes full of stuff and 2 suitcases. And one, he straps it over his arm. It's a computer case. And the other thing is it's a duffel bag where there's like 3 different pairs of shoes, belts, bathroom hand towels and regular bathroom towels, you know, the full-size ones used to dry off your whole body. And they got a couple. There's a couple of snacks. There's about 2 or 3 different snacks in there too. I mean, it's a fairly big duffel bag. It's pretty bulky. And after he gets all done with that, man, he's really hungry. I mean, if there was a thing, a bag of Cheetos, that bag, he'd rip it open quick and go. You know what I mean? So what he does is he does a Google search through his smartphone to see where the nearest Jack in the Box is. There's a Jack in the Box a little over a mile away, about 1.29 miles away, about almost 1.5 miles. He goes over to Jack in the Box. He gets and I checked into this earlier today just to see what their menu is now, because I haven't been to a Jack in the Box in quite a while. He gets a jumbo cheeseburger, onion rings, and he gets I think he gets some bottled iced tea. And he really chomps that stuff down quick because he's very, very hungry. And then he gets back to his apartment. He looks to see what he has. Then he goes to a Vaughn's grocery store, and he buys all kinds of stuff. Even though he's got 2 rolls of toilet paper, he buys it anyways. He buys a 4-pack of Charmin, spot remover for the laundry detergent, bread, coffee, and he finds a coffee maker that is only $49.99. It's either a Hamilton or an off-brand, but he buys it anyways. He doesn't care, and he gets some filters with it, and he gets eggs, bacon. I believe it's Kodiak. The thing where you can get those little pancakes, and he gets some pancake syrup, and he gets some margarine, and he gets lots of odds and ends. I mean, he drops over $200 at the grocery store. And when he gets to his apartment, he carries in like 3-4 bags at a time of groceries in 3 different trips back and forth between where his car's parked and where his apartment unit is. And he puts everything away. And he proceeds to find some apps on his smartphone. And at about 10:30, he gets a call from the talent agency. And they don't want him to come in right away, and they don't want him to come in the next day, July 2nd. But on July 5th, he must come in at 9:30 on the dot. And they're going to go over a whole lot of things with him. So after about 11:15, he's really yawning. He turns off his smartphone and he crawls into a sleeping bag, because that's one of the things he brought with him. And he got one of those sofa pillows, one of those ones that's huge, and he lays on it, and man, it's comfortable. I mean, he really thinks he's got it made, because his head's so comfortable, and the way he positions it, where it covers the upper part of his back, where the upper part of the back ends and the neck begins, that area. And he's really sleeping. He sleeps until about 8 o'clock in the morning. He gets up, goes to the bathroom, showers, shaves, brushes his teeth, puts on some clothes that he prefers to wear, makes himself some breakfast, because he brought at least a couple of pots and a couple of pans and some cooking utensils. He's got enough to get by, but he don't got a lot. And then he goes driving around, and he starts looking for mattresses, furniture. And he also looks into he looks at about 3 different stores actually I say high def televisions, it's smart TVs. HDMI, smart TVs. And he also, after he's been out for about 4 hours, he really gets hungry. So he goes into a nice mom and pop type burger joint, and he gets himself a nice grilled chicken patty with hollandaise sauce bacon, and French fries, and he loves it. I mean, it tastes. I mean, it's the best. It's the best type of sandwich of that type that he's ever had. It tastes so good. Even the ketchup is better than Heinz, traditional ketchup. It's that good. And he gets set up with a mattress and a couch and a sofa chair because normally companies wouldn't do this, but because their sales are going down, they make an exception this time. On the 4th of July, when you hear a lot of noise, the bed set, the couch, and the sofa chair all get delivered. And the next day, he gets up fairly early to get to his, I believe I said 9:30 appointment with the agent. And they, as soon as they get in there, they really do a lot of talking. And I mean a lot. And he's just taking down notes quite a bit. I mean, he wore out his right hand because he took so many notes. And then after he's been in a meeting with his talent agent, talent scout, for probably at least 3 hours, he leaves to go have a quick lunch. He comes back, and somebody else steps in and starts giving him some acting lessons with 4 other people who are soon to be, or eventually to become, professional actors. Well, that's about it for this vlog. I hope all of you enjoyed this. Thank you everyone for watching this vlog, and goodbye now. Thank you very much.